Hello, I'm Cat, and one of the weirdest parity differences between Java and Bedrock is how on Java, when you fight one of the most challenging mobs in the game, when you get halfway through, nothing actually changes. The health bar stays exactly the same. This is not true on Bedrock, where you can actually harness the second half of the fight to do some pretty crazy stuff. A great example of this would be the house below my house, because I have, about a month ago, decided to work on this on a massive way. About a month ago, it looked like this, and so I decided I would spend 2 hours mining with a beacon in this stream right here, and after those 2 hours and tens of thousands of blocks mined, it now looks like this instead. Not that much of an upgrade, as you can see, which made me realize if I want to make this giant underground space, either I have to concede it's going to take me dozens of hours mining individual blocks, or instead, maybe there could be another way. Well, what could that other way possibly be? Well, as you probably can work out from the title and the fact that I immediately started talking about the Wither, I'm going to use the Wither's second phase that exists on Bedrock, and I'm going to use this in the middle of a giant chunk of deep slate, with the goal being destroy as much deep slate as possible, as fast as possible. As a standard human player, there is only so much that you can destroy block by block, day by day, but as you'll know, if you've followed my intent to have a beacon netherite, I have a lot of Wither skeleton skulls, even if I'm well short of that project's aims, and so as a result, I'm actually able to, right here, right now, decide that I'm going to just spawn a Wither. Oh, no, that's wrong. That's incorrect. I'm able to, right here, right now, decide that I'm going to spawn a Wither, and I'm going to use it for block-breaking purposes. And that means that, weirdly enough, I'm going to be in this situation where I'm spawning the most dangerous mob in Minecraft, specifically because I don't intend to kill it, at least not for a while. For this entire episode, at least, there is going to be a big Wither hanging out here, and that seems absurd. That seems ridiculous, and oh dear God, I am having problems seeing him. That seems really, really absurd. Don't get me wrong, I understand, but here's my logic, right? The Wither, when you're in its first phase, at least on Bedrock, it's very, very chill. You just hit it a bunch of times with your sword. If we can find him again, that is. I am playing with a super low brightness display, so it's very tricky for me to see right now, but I can see there's a Wither up there. Let's get him down here so we can kill him nice and easily. But once the Wither goes into her second phase, which for some reason, again, is a Bedrock exclusive, once the Wither goes into this second phase, she becomes very useful for big projects. Okay, so she is going very, very high up right there. So I've got two options, basically. I think the simpler option is probably to stack myself up. I'm going to have to be very careful about this because the big second explosion might pop my totem if I'm not careful, but let's just try here anyway. Drop one of those, and then, as you can see, it's so funny being able to do this like this, but boom! Oh, that really, really hurts. It's a good thing I brought a potion of regeneration, but now that the Wither is more than half done, she's not just going to spawn Wither skeletons, which is a whole nightmare in itself, but she's going to start doing that. This attack, as you can see, is massively destructive, although it seems like it's just left a hole in my game more than it's left a hole in my deep slate. But as you can see, it's a great way of finding diamonds, it's a great way of finding all these other ores, and also it's a great way to destroy large amounts of deep slate. That is right, this is a mob that when it gets into its second phase, breaks one of the fundamental rules of Minecraft, which is that your blocks should never be broken, your wonderful things should never be played with by another mob. The creeper seems bad enough and the ghast is only in the nether, but the Wither can spawn in and destroy ludicrous amounts of blocks with every single one of these charge attacks that she does. I am going to mostly get her finished now, just so if things come to the worst, I can finish her very quickly, but the truth is that this is going to be a disaster, but it's going to be a controlled disaster. You see, actually, there's a funny thing about Minecraft. A lot of people say that the creeper is really fun and that Jeb would never add anything fun today, but also those same people hate concepts like the phantom or the ghast, and honestly, they hate the creeper too. They just think it's a fun version of a bush that explodes, and ultimately this is kind of what the Wither is as well. It's the ultimate boss that you never actually have to fight in Minecraft. The only reason to do so is to get the beacon, which is to destroy blocks faster, and so it's kind of funny that while destroying this boss, we're going to have access to a much faster source of destruction, and although it's basically a natural disaster, it's a natural disaster that we are choosing, and I'm going to choose this natural disaster be in a place that I already want to destroy a lot of blocks. So that is what we're doing today, and as you can see, it's been very successful so far. I do have to sometimes accept the Wither's charging through me like this, and I don't know where she's gone right now. Lag is going to be the name of the game today, but what is important is that she's destroying blocks far faster than I ever could. Within literally 2 hours of mining with my beacon and my efficiency 5 pickaxe, I could mine just over 13,000 blocks, I believe, but with the Wither, we can destroy almost that many blocks in a single charge every 30 seconds, and that is the name of the game here, and it kind of brings me back to a comment that Jeb made recently. If you haven't heard about it, he actually came out and he said that he considers Minecraft to be more of a sandbox game, and that instead of it being like an RPG where you get character development, you actually just kind of get more toys that you can play with. And ultimately, this thinking is really useful. As much as people like to make fun of Jeb, like, oh, he wouldn't add anything fun, I actually think he gets Minecraft in a really fundamental way, which makes sense. If you've been the chief creative officer for as many years, you'd certainly hope you understand it. But I think that the biggest thing to understand about Minecraft is it truly is a sandbox game first and an everything else game second, which is why when we talk about the trident, we don't want, the spear, which I used to hurt the Wither for my Java example earlier. When we talk about these brand new weapons, we don't want it to be a sword but better. That would be more progression, if you could find it in a better way, a harder way, and do fun things with it. But actually, the point of a sandbox is to have more choices. I love the Wither as a choice for playing around with all of this stuff, because it reminds you of how the game is meant to be better. In fact, can I bring up an example? As a lot of you might know, I wanted to, about a year ago, work on making a beacon netherite. This is something that was a really grand vision, because only 1 in 40 Wither skeletons drop their skulls, so you'd have to kill literally thousands of Wither skeletons, and so this was something that was going to be very tricky, but I set my eyes to doing it, and I decided to, do something I usually never do, and make myself a brand new farm, a Wither skeleton farm. I usually don't love farms as part of Minecraft, but for the sake of my goal, I started working on it, but because of the way that farms work, it's a very inconsistent mechanic that relies on fortress spawning spots and the amount of space nearby you. It just wasn't generating Wither skeletons very fast. I could leave it running all night and I would get 1 skull, which means I could spend years working on my grand vision, or I could concede that this wasn't something that was going to be fun for me. By the way, finally finishing off the Wither now, I think it's fair to say. But ultimately, I think that we've done enough destruction now, and we could, keep going, but I think it's time to, pick up all the resources and see what we've actually got here. So, first of all, that means we need this Nether Star. I will be using this for a beacon, but Minecraft is a game that is a sandbox where you get to decide what you do at any given juncture. Do you want to mine the game block by block as it's meant to be done? Yeah, you probably do. You get way more precision with that. But if you want to have a big chunk of destruction done first, and for you to manicure that destruction to make it into your beautiful underground house that is a mirrored copy of your overworld house, well, you can do that. Do you want to farm your resources, or do you want to manually get them? It is your choice. I think this is the interesting thing about Minecraft that gets forgotten about because it's a game that spans many genres. Because it is a sandbox game, it is up to you to not just, work on it the best way you know how, but as a sandbox game, it's up to you to decide. It's up to you to choose which of the tools you think is best, and also it's up for you to decide, okay, I just mined a bunch of deep slate. Do I want that? I've already got so much deep slate in my world, and the answer is, maybe I want this in the future. It's a really useful base block, and what's funny about this is, even though I've only been using this today as broadly a way for me to mine, as it's been a way to make a giant chunk of terrain go missing, basically, but it's also a great way to mine in the getting block sense of the word. A lot of these blocks will have been destroyed by the Wither, sure, but as you could tell from the amount of lag that happened, this was also really good for getting my blocks here. And so, the adventure that I've been going on recently is trying to categorize and understand Minecraft better. I think this is always important. I play Minecraft a lot, and I play it in a very different way to what most people might say, and this is, I think, one of the other things that characterizes Minecraft as a sandbox. It's a game that gives you a near infinite amount of things to do, and it's for you to decide which of those things you'd like to do. If you want to just load up the game, build a house, get bored of it, and quit, you could totally do that, but the reason that I'm giving the advice of not killing the Wither, which totally went against, by the way, sorry about that, but the reason, absolutely terrible, but I will be spawning another Wither and then not killing her for a very long time, maybe in the future, because of how successful this has been, but the reason that I'm giving this advice, and the reason that I use this Let's Play and talk about long-term survival worlds on this channel, is because actually, this is a game with so much choice for what you do, And I think the most important thing above all else, to get one of the best feelings that we have in humanity, you might say, this sense of accomplishment, this sense of achievement, I think one of the most important things to realize is that no matter what it is you want to do in this sandbox, you can do it in the same world. If your vision is just making a brand new house every day, then honestly, wouldn't a brand new set of diamond or netherite tools make that better? I admittedly mostly used up my diamond and netherite tools working on this ridiculous level of project, but like, you actually are the one who gets to decide when and where you utilize this sandbox to its full extent, and I think there's something kind of beautiful about that. And so if you've never realized this until just now, this is a fun little strategy that you can use, but also you can choose not to use it. But if there's one big point I'd like to tie it all into, it's the fact that this is a sandbox game, and I hope that you don't see it the same now, because this has been a mega space. I actually, I'm kind of curious. I'm sure you can't, I'm not the only one here that's thinking to myself, like, well, this is great. This is a big chunk, but it's not as much as I kind of thought it would be when I started the episode. When I started the episode, I was like, this is going to be, I'm going to mine as much as I did in that entire episode, but actually, how big is it? Well, I'm going to have to run in there and find out. So, once we... There's so much deep slate to pick up. Isn't it kind of fun, though, that you get to decide not just how you mine blocks, but also if you want to keep them? There's a genuine argument to be made that, like, actually, it doesn't matter how many blocks you have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to destroy the entrance into this place, just so we can see it slightly better. I'll use my very dead diamond pickaxe, and so you can visually see that after a full wither, or after literally a 5 to 7 minute wither, our space has gone from being what was previously just 4 blocks bigger after 2 hours of mining, to now, with 10 minutes of mining, being this much bigger. Look at the space. Look at how much there is. In fact, I guess, how do you measure something like this? I'm guessing, okay, so what we'll do is look at my coordinates. We'll go into, like, the far left corner of this cubic area, 105, 50, 194, and then we'll go up to over here. So 105, 105, 194 means this is 30 blocks on the X, 20 blocks on the Z, and I'll call that about 10 or 12 blocks high. So that's 30 times 20 by 12, 7,200 blocks mined. About half of those ended up being picked up, sure, but either way, I am very happy, and I hope that you all enjoyed this Let's Play. And the reason I do this is to show some of the weirdest sides of the sandbox that maybe you haven't experienced, or maybe you haven't played with, because ultimately, Minecraft is a giant sandbox, just like life, and everything that has some huge downsides usually comes with some huge upsides. This is a point I will make until the end of time, and hopefully you've enjoyed seeing the upsides to the wither. For now, I hope you consider the upsides of subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.